Hello, I'm Tina Hughes, Director of Marketing and Digital Channels. Welcome to our Yorkshire Building Society Member Masterclass, a series of masterclasses developed for our members where we discuss key topics that our members want to hear more about to really provide real help with real life. In this masterclass, we're going to talk to you about cash ISAs and your tax-free allowance, so you can make the most of your tax-free savings with our Director of Savings, Chris Irwin. This masterclass is for general information purposes only. It's not designed as financial, legal, tax or investment advice. The best course of action for you will depend upon your personal circumstances. So, Chris, let's get started with the basics. What is a cash ISA?
An ISA is an individual savings account that lets you earn tax-free interest on the money that you save. There are 4 types of ISAs for adults to choose from. There's a cash ISA, a stocks and shares ISA, an innovative finance ISA and a lifetime ISA. Whilst for under 18s, there is a junior ISA that can be opened. At Yorkshire Building Society, we only offer cash ISAs.
Okay, so bearing in mind that Yorkshire Building Society only offers cash ISAs, can you tell me a little bit more about them?
At Yorkshire Building Society, we offer 2 different types of cash ISAs. Fixed rate cash ISAs, where the interest rate stays the same for the term of your cash ISA, and variable rate cash ISAs, where the interest rate can change either up or down during the term of the product. Fixed rate ISAs allow you to access your money, but you would typically lose a portion of the interest as a result, whereas variable rate ISAs typically offer a certain level of penalty-free access to your money. So making the best choice isn't just about looking at the headline rate. It's worth considering what kind of access you might need and whether you want certainty on the return you will receive. The total annual ISA allowance is £20,000 for the 2024-2025 tax year, and you can only pay into one cash ISA with Yorkshire Building Society using your ISA allowance per tax year. Some cash ISAs are flexible, and that means you can take out cash and then put it back in during the same tax year without affecting your allowance. Interest can be paid either annually or monthly, depending on the account that you choose, and as long as your money stays in an ISA, then you won't pay tax on the interest. You may also be able to consolidate your existing ISAs into one if the terms and the conditions of the product allow that, to make your savings easier to manage. Cash ISAs are available to UK residents aged 18 and over.
Okay. So ISAs are obviously a great way of saving tax-free. How many ISAs can I have?
So since the start of the 2024-2025 tax year, there's no limit on the number of ISAs that you can open with different providers, apart from lifetime ISAs. Well, that means that you could have a cash ISA with us and another with a different bank or building society. Currently, you can only pay into one cash ISA with Yorkshire Building Society per tax year using your ISA allowance.
You mentioned earlier the ISA allowance. Can you tell me what that is?
So the ISA allowance is how much you can pay into an ISA during a tax year. The £20,000 limit applies across cash ISAs, stocks and shares, and innovative finance ISAs. This means you could split your allowance across those 3 ISA types as long as the total is £20,000 or less. It's important that you keep track of your contributions. And you can also pay into a lifetime ISA as part of your allowance, but there's a limit of how much of your allowance you can use in a lifetime ISA, and that's £4,000. The ISA allowance resets at the end of each tax year, which is the 5th of April, and you can't carry any allowance over into the next tax year. It will reset to the limit once again once a new tax year starts on the 6th of April. And finally, you can maximise each year's allowance to build a bigger pot of tax-free savings. So if you've maximised your contributions for 3 years in a row, and the allowance each year was £20,000, then by the end of 3 years, you would have a total of £60,000 in tax-free savings.
What is an ISA transfer and how does it work?
So you can transfer your ISA savings between different types of ISAs and different providers. Transfers don't affect your annual ISA allowance, and the interest you earn on your savings stays tax-free. An ISA transfer is not the same as paying money in. You can transfer ISA savings from a previous tax year without affecting how much you can pay in this tax year. What you have to do is make sure you transfer your savings using an ISA transfer process. If you make the payment yourself, your money will lose its tax-free status. With Yorkshire Building Society, if you want to transfer your ISA savings from the current tax year in or out, you must transfer the full balance. Some providers may allow you to transfer partial balances from the current tax year. To transfer savings from a previous tax year's allowance with Yorkshire Building Society, you can transfer the full balance or part of it. If you want to transfer an existing cash ISA out to a cash ISA with a different provider, you need to complete an ISA transfer request with your new ISA provider. Check the terms and conditions of the ISA you're transferring to and from in case there are any withdrawal restrictions or charges. And do not close your account yourself and transfer the money to a new provider, as again, you'll lose your tax-free status.
What is the personal savings allowance?
So the personal savings allowance is the amount of interest you can earn on your savings each year without paying tax. The tax-free interest you earn in an ISA doesn't count towards your personal savings allowance. The amount of personal savings allowance available to you depends on your income tax band, and to work out which band you fall into, add together the taxable interest, so not ISAs, that you've received with your other taxable income. If you're a basic rate taxpayer, so 20%, you pay no interest on the first £1,000 of interest. If you're a higher rate taxpayer, paying 40%, then it's £500. And if you're an additional rate taxpayer, 45%, then you don't receive any allowance.
What are your thoughts on the future of cash ISAs following the recent changes by the government?
So the 2024 autumn budget saw savers hit with continued frozen tax thresholds. This continued the freeze that the former Conservative government had already put in place. So keeping tax thresholds frozen whilst wages rise pulls more people into the higher rate tax band, where the personal savings allowance is cut from £1,000 to £500. So this makes it even more important to protect savings interest by using the tax-free wrapper of ISAs. No other changes for cash ISAs were announced by the new Labour government in the 2024 autumn budget.
And to wrap up, Chris, what is your top tip for ISAs?
So depending on your personal circumstances, ISAs could be a great way to gain interest without paying any tax, especially if you're a higher rate taxpayer. If you choose a flexible ISA, you can save, take money out and pay it back in again without it affecting your ISA allowance for the current tax year. So you don't need to leave extra money in your current account paying little or no interest for a rainy day. It's important to regularly review your existing savings accounts, as they may have a low interest rate or hold balances now that will be subject to tax. It may actually be easier to consolidate them into one place if the product terms and conditions allow, so that they're easier to manage. And one last reminder, if you are looking to transfer your ISA savings, please remember to use an ISA transfer process, because if you make the payment yourself, your money will lose its tax-free status.
Brilliant, Chris. Thanks for all of that. We hope that gives all of our members a better understanding about cash ISAs and their personal allowance. If you want to find out more information, you can visit our website, ybs.co.uk.